Good morning and welcome to the Capital Gang. I am Oscar Semoyam Soke, and this morning the coffee stories will continue. We have in the hot seat the man himself, Mr. Robert Byarahanga. You're most welcome to the Capital Gang. Let's sort out your microphone so that you can respond. Yes, once again, good morning and welcome to the Capital Gang.
Great, thank you, Oscar. Thank you very much. Good morning, listeners.
Yes, you're the man in the storm. We also have another guest, a favorite anti-corruption crusader, Dr. Sarah Birete. You're most welcome to the Capital Gang.
Thank you, and good morning, listeners and viewers.
Yeah, and Ivan Rugamba. I had to run all the way up because the other time when I was slightly late, he had thought about taking power. But this time round, it has not been allowed. You're most welcome to Gang.
Yeah, good morning to the listeners. I was saying you will be now behaving like some of our presidents who don't communicate when they have health complications, when they are going out of the country because they are afraid of the safety of their seat.
I should remind you that for now you're seated in a Fonopondo's seat, so you have to be extremely careful.
Even the
analogy, any utterance, it can be deemed mistakenly. Yes. So welcome. So Mr. Robert Byarahanga, you are not doing very well social media. The other day I watched a bit of you on agro. Was it agro?
Yes.
Agro spaces.
Yes.
I think that's what it was.
Yes.
And the issues put to you, and all of them are in the coffee sector. The first one is you've not understood what value addition means. You're probably suggesting value addition means processing coffee to drink, to take. That is one, that you have a lack of understanding of what that is. Two, that your group, especially Robert Byarahanga and Nelson Tugume, the two chief architects and chief engineers, have taken money to the tune of 37 billion or more, or $1 million for Serbia hub, and $10 million for the CICU?
The Consortium.
The Consortium. And the Consortium, that money has been eaten by the two men, Tugume and Byarahanga. That is number two. Number three, the promises of what you are going to do have not happened. So far, those are the big things. You sent a document out yesterday, and it does not seem to address those very issues.
Yes.
So from where should we start?
We can start with the social media narrative that is right now happening, where influencers are trying to drive the narrative that a group of people got money from government and just went away and are having fun with the money. That's the first one that we can deal with.
Yes.
That is not true. It is not true. The Coffee Consortium was formed to add to the efforts that the previous efforts by government and government agencies like UCDA, like Ministry of Agriculture. For us, we said, okay, we've had the coffee roadmap since 2013. We've had the coffee law debate since 2018, 2021 or 22, I think. Yeah, 2021 it was enacted. We are now in 2023 and nothing is being done. So we said, let's try and do something. And we put together a proposal, presented it to people in different ministries. They approved it and money was allocated according to the proposals that we made. Those proposals were centered around the very things I wrote about yesterday, which were what we identified as the 5 drivers of the change that we want. So we said we have production and productivity, but what kind of production and productivity are we talking about? We said, okay, the roadmap talked about expanding the acreage. For us, we are saying, no, let us increase productivity per tree. So we developed a model which we called the Every Tree Counts model, or ETC model. And that is to say that currently our average production is 0.8 kilograms per tree on average in Uganda. Can we push this to 3 kilos per tree without increasing acreage? So that was the first one. The second one was value addition, which is clear. Value addition, of course, is not just roasting coffee. It's everything between the seedlings and the roasting. So then we went to research and development, we went to markets and branding, trade and finance. And again, this was a concept, a debate. Today, that's not where we are. Today we are implementing. When we say value addition, we have 2 factories being built, one in Ntungamo and one here in Namave. Beautiful factories. First time in Africa that you are going to have a freeze-dried factory and a freeze-dried factory. Yeah. When we say research and development, we have, who did I hear talking about cosmetics? Extracting coffee extracts and adding them to cosmetics. We are doing this already. When it comes to markets and branding, I came here wearing this shirt specifically because of this, because people think we are not doing anything. We did this in Serbia, we are doing it in Russia, we are doing it in Turkey, we are doing it in Dubai, and it's already there. There's still a lot of work to do, of course, to create.
You're doing a shirt in those places, not coffee.
No, this is branding.
Okay.
Markets and branding. So creating markets, creating awareness about the Ugandan brand and the beauty of it. Trade and finance. We have something that the president launched in April 2023 called the Trade Frontier Fund. And so on all the 5 drivers, we are working. So when people say on social media today that these guys came, picked up the money and disappeared, no, it's not true. We are doing everything according to the plan that we submitted, and work is ongoing. Thank you. The next thing that you raised maybe was, the money. Of course, that comes into it. The money is being used exactly as it was planned.
We can go back a little bit to those hubs, Serbia.
Yes.
Because there's a trending video of what the Serbia hub looks like.
Yes.
And Jacqueline Arinde was here last week, and she says she's on very sure footing.
Yeah.
That by the time they got to Serbia, of the 1 million you had received, 500,000 was already spent in transit to Serbia. And there was only $500,000 left available for the Serbia hub. And basically, it's a bar. It's borders on a nightclub.
No.
And the president could not even enter it.
No. Jackie knows better. She was there.
She
knows better.
In fact, she says she was there.
No,
that's why she
shouldn't
knows.
be talking like that, because she's very much aware that out of the 1 million that we first received, the initial amount, the pressure to get that money was not only to look after Serbia. It was to also deposit on the value-added machines that had been ordered. So almost 3/4 of that money went to machines in Turkey, which are already here, being installed. Yeah, the roastery, 300 kg per batch machine. You do not have this in Africa. You don't have it. It's the first time it's here in Tungamo. Nelson has already started installing it.
And the accusation that that factory in Tungamo was actually there, it's not a new factory?
No.
Even Kabushenga said that's not a new factory. He's saying that factory has been
commissioned in 2022, I think.
You see? This that's what they're saying. You're not putting anything new.
What we are dealing with is...
And the roster, like someone has told me, that roster maybe could cost 20,000, but you need to give a location so that they go and have a look at it.
No, let's use good information. Yeah. Okay. So I'm telling you on authority that in Africa there is no roster of capacity 300 kgs per batch.
And yours is?
Yes. That's the one in Tungamo. The one that is being put here in Namave hasn't started yet, but it's going to start, as you can see from the plan, is 250 kgs. This capacity is nowhere in Africa. It's not there. It's not there. So these are not cheap things. This is not cheap technology. The spray dried technology that we're talking about, the only place you find it in Africa is in Tanzania, in Bukoba. They have it. I think it was the late Julius Nyerere who built it that time.
So, Robert, you're speaking on national radio.
Yes.
You're saying to people, go and visit us in Namave.
Absolutely.
You are going to see a roster.
Yeah, said in Namave.
In Namave,
Pardon,
it's
in
not
Namave
a-
it is not?
In
Go to the
Ntungamo.
microphone. In Tungamo,
Yes.
that's the one
it was
Ivan is
switched
saying.
on 2 nights ago.
But it was commissioned 2022.
Not what was commissioned at the time was something different from what we are doing today. If you look at the expansion that we have done, it's massive, it's huge. It's really, really huge because you have a spray dried facility that has already come in the country. Spray dried. This is a big tower, and you have the freeze dry technology that is also coming, being added to what was commissioned.
And you're
last
saying
time.
this was switched on 2 nights ago.
The roster, yeah,
The roster was
from
switched-
Turkey.
Okay.
Yes,
You know, people listen here. This is national radio, and they send pictures and so on and so forth.
absolutely. And I have
In a few-
videos that I
in a
can
few-
show you.
That you will show us. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Right. So I'll go to the next one. The CICU.
Yes.
Yes, you are saying.
Well, the narrative, of course, is that CICU is a group of con artists. I've seen people talk like this, that we got money and walked away. No, this is not what happened. We have that massive project in Tungamo. It's the flagship one. It's the top, the tertiary, we call it the tertiary hub.
Mm.
So this is where all the value addition is done, including cosmetics, including extracts like cold brew. So all this is being done in Tungamo. Then you have what we call the secondary hubs that support the tertiary hub, because one of the weaknesses we have in Uganda is that aggregating what we call kase, green coffee, is very difficult. It's dominated by multinational companies. If you look at the UCDA statistics, 80% of the coffee in Uganda is traded by about 7 companies. 7, if you look at the last report. These 7 companies are actually multinational companies. There is no Ugandan company that you find in the top 10, apart from Ideal Commodities, which is owned by Ugandan Indian called Haji Siraj. Very fantastic man. So, to guarantee supply to our tertiary hub that is value adding, you need an ecosystem. And it is that ecosystem that is what you hear of as CICU. Just a group of companies saying, okay, for us, let us be here in this space, compete with the multinationals, and give you the coffee that you need to value add.
Okay, and I'll
Yes.
tell you, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
What are the accusations against Mr. Tugume and Mr. Byarahanga? They are, one, they've changed signatories so that CICU is no longer receiving money. The money is going especially to Robert Byarahanga, who is the group treasurer.
Yes.
That is the first accusation. You changed signatories without permission of the entire group. 2, you have sidelined all the other people in the group. Now it is Tugume and Byarahanga. 3, the Ntungamo, what you're talking about now,
Yes.
belongs to Byarahanga.
To Nelson.
Sorry, Tugume Nelson.
Yes, yeah.
Not CICU.
That is correct.
All the others you've said are correct, but
Yes.
those 3 are the accusations against you.
Okay, so I'll start with the last one.
Yeah.
Ntungamo belongs to Nelson Tugume. That is true. Just like Funzo belongs to me,
Yes.
Masha Coffee belongs to Sylvia Chebeta and her husband. New Bukumbi Coffee belongs to David Bangana. Rubanga Cooperative is a cooperative of different people. So each company belongs to its owner. What we did is to say, let us come together and pool our resources and our energies and our knowledge and our experience and make a change. That's what we did. So yes, Ntungamo belongs to Inspire Africa. That's one. So that's true. The second one is about changing signatories. In Uganda, we have these issues. They call them governance problems. CICU is a very young organization. So it is true, we have disagreements among ourselves. Managing those disagreements and getting out of them is the challenge that we have. Every organization has its own challenges, unique challenges. You have people thinking, oh, I want to control this. Oh, this one is not with me. What am I going to do? What are we going to do? You're going to have these challenges anywhere you go. So yeah, we have challenges, governance challenges, but we are dealing with them. And
By
we are making
changing
progress.
signatories? By cutting them out of the money?
No,
This is
we are
you're
not
sitting
cutting
on
anybody out
$10
of the money.
million. You're a union. So now if you change signatories to Tugume and Byarahanga, that's a challenge. Is that not a problem?
I think first of all, was 10 million a grant, a
It's
loan.
government. Well,
It's a grant. It's a
Okay.
grant. So we have a grant agreement.
yes. Go on, Mr.
We have a grant agreement with Science, Technology and Innovation, and that grant agreement specifies where each amount of money is going and for what purpose. So
Go
and
back
that,
to the change of signatory.
and that
one.
was done.
Ivan has given you a good way out of the other question.
Sorry.
Go back to the change of signatories.
I'm coming to that. So I'm saying the grant agreement was designed in the way that it was designed, and each entity was given its due, what it had proposed to get, and that happened. That is happening. The mandate, the signing mandates on the signatories, as I said, these are governance issues. These are governance issues. It's not to do with the money that was received. No, each entity received its due money. So there's nothing there for which you are going to change a signatory and earn. No, there's nothing. It's just saying we have an organization. How do we run it? And when you disagree, somebody will go and do something, which comes out
make a
in
note,
the-
Ivan. Make a note.
which comes out in social media as, oh, these people are changing signatories. They are trying to steal money. No, that's not what it is.
You kind of not addressed that very well, because they've said money came to you.
Yes.
$10 million. This is in addition to the other one that had come.
No, no,
Then
no,
when
no.
the money came.
No.
oh,
Sorry, let's correct that.
The other 1
The
million is
grant
part
was
of the
10 million.
Ah, okay.
The 1 million was part of
Was
the
part-
10.
okay.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to you, the organization, you change signatories. So somehow you've not yet responded to
No.
that one very well.
As I said,
And then, in addition, some people to join you were requested to pay 10 million Uganda shillings.
He said something about the fact that each group received money. So I think it's important that he clarifies this.
Yes.
Was when the 10 million was received,
Yes.
was that money distributed amongst the groups like you're suggesting, or it was given to the consortium, on which in which all of you are equal members of the consortium?
Right. So, like I said, the 10 million was given under a grant agreement. The grant to the consortium. The grant agreement was very specific. There is a proposal, a value addition proposal, there is a coffee aggregation proposal, and each proposal was allocated the money that it was allocated for. And that is how the money was released and paid out.
Was the subdivision agreed?
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah. Yes.
Mm.
It was agreed.
Just a final one, then we'll have this discussion on the table.
Yes.
And the what was I saying? The whole point, why people say you've got this whole point wrong. What you need to be looking at in order to get more money into the farmer's pocket, as one of your slogans, is by increasing productivity.
Yes.
And two,
Yes.
improving quality. And now the people that are accusing you,
Yeah.
they say you have not mentioned at all anywhere how productivity has increased. You have not mentioned anywhere the amount of coffee that has gone to Serbia. You have now said there are shots. I've seen that one, but you have not pointed out how many tons of coffee have gone to Serbia, and how much coffee we have in Uganda.
Okay, so we need to be a little bit like realistic.
Yes.
The money was released, I think, in October. We are now in January, right? As I speak, the Serbians were here launching the Entebbe. There are some coffee hubs. There's a coffee hub at Entebbe at the airport, and we've had some success in Russia. But like I said, the consortium is built in such a way that there is a tertiary hub and these other supporting hubs. The tertiary hub was switched on 2 days ago. So the work of building these things is not easy. I think people think it's like going in a supermarket and buying this flask and then drinking coffee. No, it's hard work to put together a tertiary hub. This is really, really hard work. Why is it not anywhere in Africa? It's because it's not easy. But we are doing it. So the work is ongoing, the orders are coming, and we are going to fulfill them. In terms of what coffee have you done? We have a lot of coffee. We have a lot of coffee among ourselves as a consortium. So much coffee that we are working with. In fact, so much so that right now, as we are waiting for the hub to come online with all its different functionalities, We actually are exporting it. We are selling it locally. You buy and sell, buy and sell. When this hub comes online, we buy and supply the hub. And that's the idea.
So, Robert, lastly, Dr. Msenero herself,
Yes.
the line minister
Yes.
who brought the money, has said she has not received anything from CICU. No report, nothing. You can quote her, she has nothing from Coffee City. She's not sure if you're producing any coffee. She herself is totally unsure.
Well, I will not comment on what you said, Dr. Msenero has said, because what I understand is different. We are interacting with her every day, and she has all the information that she needs. We went through the first audit. We've been going through it in this month of January, and it's I think it's complete. And there's really not much that I can say about that, because my knowledge is that we are compliant. We have done everything. And there's nothing that Dr. Msenero would say in that kind of way, because what I know is different.
Okay, let's have some contribution across the table and then we'll come back to you. Start with you, Ivan, who is quoting from many sources, a textbook here, a piece of paper there, a statistic somewhere. That's how we knew that that Ntungamo plant had been commissioned in 2020. This man carries statistics with him.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Last week we discussed this, so I don't know whether I should belabor going back to the perspectives we shared last week. But
you should, because, or some of them, the accused is seated here, so he's not running away. He is the accused. He's in the hot seat. We even increased the SC.
Yeah, really.
There are several things, really. There are several things. You see, the bigger problem, the bigger problem with this whole discussion around the CIC, is it CIC? CICU, and the people around it, is that it doesn't get to address the real critical bottlenecks, or as the president likes to call them, bottlenecks, around the coffee industry. Mr. Yaranga here has listed a number of them, and what we have seen in his submission, the one thing he has talked about that they have of the, I think, 4 points or 4 point areas, the verifiable one he has talked about, they have tried to address, is the one of value addition with the Ntungamo processing plant, and one which is in the offing, as he says, in Namamvi. But there are things, so first, maybe I should first raise a few points here which Mr. Byarhanga will address before I go into submission. First is the issue of the consortium, the 10 million he talks about. We have information, and this can be verified, that when the 10 million was released, the consortium has about 15 members. Is that correct, Mr. Byarhanga?
You submit. He'll make notes.
Okay, yes. So out of 15 members, the information that is in the public domain is that I think only 5 of the consortium members received any part of the money. Of course, the public is not aware of the grant sharing agreement or arrangement that was entered into at the start of the consortium. But the reason we have this information is because part of the initial members of that consortium are the ones who are whistleblowing and bring this information into light. That money was released. The consortium was made up of 15 members. Only about 5 of them received a share of the money. And then we have even evidence of transfers of these monies into predominantly Funzo Coffee and I think the Nelson Tugume Inspire Coffee of Nelson Tugume. The second point is that for a noble intended idea like this, it is unfortunate that now that debate has been concentrated at the, I don't know what the Byarhangas and the Tugumes would be called. I don't know whether they would be called middlemen or exporters. The conversation has centered around the exporters, and yet coffee, like we said last week, coffee is a national crop. It is the single biggest agricultural export earner for the country, the single biggest crop export earner for the country. So the reason the debate on coffee is so important is it has very grave implications, first of all on household incomes, but also in the overall general economic productivity of the country. Unfortunately, the conversation we are having is centered now around a group of exporters
who received money from government.
Who received the money, and it is not, there is very little or if any conversation about producers, outgrowers, and the real
or increased output,
or the real coffee farmers. Mr. Biaranga has talked about the increasing production per tree. We have not had any information beyond that being an agenda item. We've not had any effort on that front on improving coffee production per tree, or we've not had a list of, say, a number of outgrowers.
Some unkind people have said his is a strategy. It's not a production anything.
Okay, so we have not had any conversation about the number of coffee outgrowers or farmer cooperatives that they are dealing with, to say to have that value chain, traceable from the garden, from the tree, to the packaging, to the branding and the production, to the but you see, we are starting.
We are
from
putting
the
it to him, so he will respond.
This is what I am saying, that we are starting. The conversation is jumping to start from shots, from branding. There is and yet a conversation on value chain should start from the garden, from the farmer to the outgrowers, to the packaging of this coffee, to the processing, to the processing. Because I think, in my imagination, this is what this consortium, or the reason this consortium got this money, was to boost that entire value chain, to make sure that value addition here trickles down to the coffee farmer at the grassroots, or in the garden in Bugisu, or in Kasese, or in okay, any of these coffee producing areas. So that conversation needs to happen, Oscar. Who are the farmers? Who are the outgrowers? Who are the coffee cooperatives that are feeding or support or feeding into this consortium that is now value adding?
And when will we tip over the 20 million bags?
Exactly. Yes. So that conversation is not happening. The second problem with this arrangement is the question. One of the biggest.
I thought you were concluding. Now you're just at number 2.
The second issue affecting the coffee value chain is the question of finance. You see, the question of finance. This money. So that also has implications on how this money was allocated or how the consortium came about. There are so many. Coffee is not a product that is grown by these 15 consortium members. And again, coffee is grown by millions of Ugandans out there. One of the challenges they face is access to credit, access to financing, to be able to first of all scale their coffee growing, to be able to buy valuable inputs, pesticide, to buy packaging technology, to be able to make sure that when this coffee is going from the gardens to the value addition point, it is beyond the distribute, or we will not have problems of aflatoxins or these other problems with packaging and all. But that conversation on access to credit. So in the long term, what is the consortium doing, for example, to address this or in terms of advocating for the broader coffee industry to have this affordable credit? Initially, I came across information that some time back, I don't know whether it still exists in the bank around in the central bank, there was an export credit guarantee scheme where coffee exporters would be guaranteed to receive guarantees from the central bank to be able to meet their supply commitments, abroad within 6 months. A real consequential conversation around financing for the coffee sector should be on how we scale some of these schemes, some of these products, like this export credit guarantee scheme. And therefore, this money that was given to the consortium should have gone to schemes like that, or to UCD, or to Uganda Development Bank, so where everybody, every coffee farmer, or every actor in the coffee value chain knows these are the predictable qualifications for accessing money if I want to scale.
He has 3 acres. I've been there of coffee, bananas, and pineapple.
Yes. So every coffee
But they
farmer
didn't
out
invite
there
him to give him.
should be able to know that if I want to access funding for the value chain, this is
the
how
place
I
to
go to it. Because what happens to those who are not part of the 15 consortium members? And now, so this is why I was saying that beyond the value addition, having been privileged to access this privileged funding by the consortium should have gone beyond to say, look, how do we address the broader challenges
conclude so I get some more people in.
The coffee sector. Then finally, on the aspect of marketing and branding, you see, Oscar, I don't think that the consortium is going to invent anything new or to say they will jump from here and have Ugandan coffee on supermarket shelves, on European and global supermarket shelves, without linkages and collaborations with established brands and partnerships or brands or companies that have been doing this in Africa or in the rest of the world. For example, I think sometime back here we had something called the Chagalanyi Coffee Limited, which was a local subsidiary of the Vol Cafe brand in Switzerland, one of the biggest coffee consumers. All we are hearing from the consortium is that they left Uganda, went to Serbia, launched the coffee hub, and all of a sudden the market will appear for Ugandan coffee. There needs to be a clear explanation on what are these partnerships, what are these collaborations that the consortium has undertaken over the last 1 or 2 years that it's been in around here. What are these collaborations and partnerships it has come up with established and verifiable coffee brands globally to be able to scale the export and marketing of Ugandan coffee. Otherwise, what we are having is the word of Mr. Byaranga Nelson Tugume to say we will launch the hub in a small shop or a coffee shop in Serbia is not the panacea to the
thank you, Ivan.
So we need a verifiable verifiable and traceable explanations of what is happening in the value chain from the crop to marketing, and that the consortium has been able to undertake with this grant from the government of Uganda, from the Ugandan taxpayer.
Okay, we come over to you, Dr. Sarah Birete. Comments on what we have. I saw social media looking forward to you. But my manager wrote to me already and said, you have Dr. Sarah Birete. Should I start to worry?
What about what?
I get
intimidated. Just talk.
I
am here to defend you.
I get these
I'm
calls.
your counsel.
They usually start Saturday afternoon on to Monday morning. So
oh my God, I want to just say that Ivan made a very good submission, but to a wrong party.
Oh.
Mr. Tugume and team did a proposal as private entrepreneurs in the coffee sector. They are not government. They won a grant to do their work. You can only assess them to the aims and objectives of their consortium. You cannot now put a burden of government of Uganda or UCDA on individual people. We can only assess the group on what they set out to do, what they were funded to do, and whether they've done that and whether there is value for money.
And I admire them.
No, I agree with your point, but they are addressed to the wrong party. That's my point.
They are from a document that Mr. Byaranga shared with the gang about the mission of the target objectives, increasing coffee production, marketing and branding, trade and finance. They are in the document. You can share it with
No,
them.
it's okay. Don't worry. These are private actors. They are not government. That's my point. Yes.
Where she will end up.
Even me, I'm already worried.
Because if you go to the country's 2020 coffee roadmap, there were a number of objectives and initiatives, and they summarized them is to improve demand, value addition, and production enablers for a target of 20 million bags with a specific kgs by 2030. That is the roadmap of government of Uganda for the coffee sector. The questions we should ask is, what has government done to achieve this roadmap? Immediately after producing this roadmap, government withdrew from the International Coffee Association. And that was part of the value addition chain, national to the international market. Why did we withdraw? From the withdrawal of the International Coffee Association, we saw the introduction of Pineti in a bid to have private actors doing value addition on behalf of government. We know where Pineti agreement ended. It was a fraud that the political leadership is still pushing. From the Pineti agreement, the next big headline on coffee came from the time when we saw headline from MPs that OPM gave money to people to encourage youth to drink coffee. 9.6 billion. And that's why I think the name of Mr. Nelson Tugumi first featured. Everybody was like, 9.6 billion to drink coffee? How? My office sits below the former coffee city in the minister's village. I visited, they are my immediate neighbor, although it's no longer there, but the signpost is still there. I visited Coffee City, and I've been one of the frequent visitors. I learned about value addition in the coffee sector, largely through Coffee City with their coffee massage, with the cosmetics, although I had not. I had booked to go into the coffee massage.
To learn how to drink coffee.
I didn't have time. No. And of course, this was a commercial service. Not to learn how to drink coffee, but they were saying there are health benefits from dipping water into that coffee sauna sort of that had been created. I had not yet benefited from that, but I saw the coffee story there. I don't know why the coffee city closed. They are no longer there. But having said that, we need to look at the broader governance issues. In last year's budget, government presented the budget framework paper. There was no budget for UCDA. It was Parliament that pushed and said, how can you not allocate money for the Uganda Coffee Development Association? So what is, authority, sorry. So what is the intention of government when it comes to the coffee sector? So now what do we see eventually are private actors.
So just some information there. They eventually got something like 60 billion.
Yes, by the push of MPs.
Yes.
But the government had not allocated money.
And the consortium got 37 billion.
Half of the budget.
UCDA.
Yes, half of the budget now came to the consortium. So my point is, what is the political intention for the coffee sector? And once we solve that question, then we shall understand why are we having this debate at this material time. Because when you get private actors, first of all, you abandon institutions and try to subdivide the mandate of institutions to individuals. So to what extent can you hold individuals accountable? Two, we are putting the burden of regulation, promotion, and marketing on private people. Of course, we are coming from a background of, the death of Coffee Marketing Board and the rest of that history. So for me, what is worrying me is the governance architecture for the sector. And the second biggest accountability issue is, then to what extent do you hold individual actors accountable for the work that is supposed to be done by government agencies?
But the individuals of public money have been given public money.
I agree. I'm saying, why are we bypassing government institutions to work under individuals? Why does Parliament, Honorable Katunti is here, a very senior legislator, why does government allocate money to private actors? For me as a governance activist, this is part of the questions I have. If there is a grant going to people, why didn't it go through the authority, the Coffee Development Authority? Why do you then have budget with the names of people when we have government institutions? This is an attempt to, of course, to further degenerate the institutions in this country. So when it comes to then the accountability questions on social media, so should the people who receive taxpayers' money account on social media? I know that active citizenry encourages everybody to be vigilant in terms of value addition and the rest of it, but what are the accountability channels? Why don't the people petition Parliament so that these conversations are raised through Parliament, an institution charged with the oversight mandate of taxpayers' money? How do we ensure that Ivan, you will come in, I see you itching.
He's itching.
Take notes.
Let him give him another chapati from Stark. From Stark Cafe.
Take
Our
notes.
coffee supplier
Why don't
here.
individuals petition Parliament? We have accountability committees in Parliament so that we have a proper assessment of whether Tugume and team are misusing taxpayers' money or not. Because we cannot do this assessment on social media. We cannot. I know Auditor General has produced a report on the 9.6 billion.
Yeah.
So what next then? Two, there is a question on this 10 million. It was allocated by Parliament. Why can't Parliament do
By
that?
cabinet.
By cabinet. But who passes money? It was retrospective, but still you have an oversight function, whether it was under the 3%. So why don't we have this debate in a formal setup to give everybody a right to be heard, the rules of natural justice? Because otherwise social media can degenerate into a mob.
The Biaranga is already on a mob. Is being lynched on social media.
So for me, if we can have this...
Conclude on there, Sarah, and then I'll squeeze in Lydia before the break.
Yes, just as I conclude really.
That should be illegal.
You have
Just as I conclude, I think as a country we need to focus on efforts that make sure most funding goes to downstream value chain activities, such as processing and marketing, to put, because the president has always mentioned the money we lose because of absence of value addition. But we need to make sure that these channels are proper and we use existing institutions. Individuals can act under existing institutions, not creating multiple institutions that then get lost in the whole sea of institutions and responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have someone on Twitter saying, thank you, Sarah Birete, for realigning the discussion. This is Maurice Mwanga. No, Maurice Mwanga. This one is a court of public, so to speak. So as Parliament is waiting for us, we shall ask Biaranga, where is the money?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Abdul, since Lydia will not be squeezed, seeing that she's not a coffee farmer, let's begin with you. You will take us to the break and after.
I am a coffee interest, but I can't be squeezed.
Okay.
Okay. Me, I can be squeezed. But let's start from, I think, the basics. Why are we having this conversation? If we don't identify that issue, then we will be gossiping. We are having this conversation because some public money has been spent.
Yes.
And once you receive public money, you need to be transparent about it.
Yes.
And the first point of departure was this money in the budget? Did you plan for it as government? I said this year we intend to spend $10 million as affirmative action to private investors in the coffee industry, and therefore the controlling or regulatory authority, in this case UCDA, should be much involved in identifying the stakeholders. And also it's not about some people coming together. I say, look here, can this, because public money, this money is available, so can we have projects for those people who think they can qualify? You set the benchmarks, and then all stakeholders, whether Kabushenga, is it Mr. Tugume, Biaruhanga, Onobo Wanyoto, who are interested in this value addition chain, can come and apply for the money, and they show that they qualify. Mr. Tugume, if you just walk and behind State House and you say, may I come in? This is what I have. And somehow money comes to you, it will attract this controversy. Whether you want it or not, you will attract it. Why? Because the whole process of them acquiring this money was not transparent in the first place. That's number one. Number two, when you went together, you started again. You dismiss that these are governance issues. Apparently, yes, they are. But what are the real issues? What are the real governance issues amongst yourselves? Why are you quarreling? You need to put it on the table because you are calling over public resources. And to me, you can't say, change of a signatory is not a problem. No, that is the authority over the money. Because this money is not in your bags, it's on the account. And once you say, no, you are not eligible or you are out, it is now on me, that means you are the one controlling the money. And you're going to have those who you've, I don't know whether you've sacked or sidelined, raise the alarm. And this whole, whistleblowing was about themselves. You are not sharing properly. To put it in layman is what?
They were sharing properly.
You'll be silent. So that is where the problem is. So, Oscar, is there anybody on this table in this country who thinks we don't need the value addition? So that is not an issue. We all know it. We all know it. The entire country knows it. How are we going to achieve that value addition? What are your strategies? Can you put it transparently? Because we are putting in public money and we debate it. We debate it in Parliament. There is a sectoral committee. UCD, by the way, I'm interested in getting the UCDA's voice on this conversation. Whether they were party to this whole thing right from the beginning. Why have they been silent?
My thinking is they are not very happy with the consortium.
No, why have they been silent all along? Because to me, it shouldn't even be Tugume here to come and explain. Oh yeah, Mr. Tugume.
This one is Gerard. This one, Abdu. This one, they are all the same, yes. But this is the money man. He's the treasurer.
The treasurer.
They are all
Okay, maybe we don't have to I'm sure that was tongue-in-cheek. Lydia didn't mean it.
No, but the ones in the storm is Tugume and Biarohanga.
So whatever it is, you should not be the one to come and explain. And that's why Sarah is talking about it. Should be UCDA.
No, the institutions.
It should be Musenero to come and say, what is this you did? And explain it. Then he can come with the Mr. Biarohanga here or Mr. Tugume here. So to me, we have a problem. One, money was spent. The people who received the money are quarreling over it. And they are alleging bad faith on part of others. But we cannot say we can't discuss it on social media. Let me tell you, there is nothing you'll never discuss on social media anyway. You get it? It will always be there because that's the voice. That's the voice now of somebody who is not as privileged as me, who can be in parliament and a committee and ask questions. To them, the only way they can vent out is on social media. However, of course, it can degenerate.
Abdu, do you agree that they should also respond to those that are accusing them of not understanding value addition and of taking the wrong strategy?
Actually, to me, it is an insult for someone to say we are not understanding value addition.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, that's a pet argument. I don't want to get involved in it. We all know it anyway. You get it? So, to me, what the conversation is about public resources being spent, acquired in a non-transparent way. Because how did you come together and say, did you apply for that grant? How? How? Did you know, did you see money in the budget allocated for that purpose?
Was there a call for proposals?
Was there a call for proposals? And who evaluated that proposal? Is it UCDA or it is Musenero? And how does Musenero even come in?
Because she had the science and this is agriculture.
How does Musenero come in all this? There are many questions and there will be few answers, logical answers. Of course, there could be some sort of answers.
We're going to stop for a break, but I could tell you that Katesh reported here that Mr. Tugume, at a public hearing, told MPs to leave him alone, that you don't know you MPs. This was reported by Katesh.
I wish I had told a person like me.
So we are pleased that at least Biarohanga is here. Mr. Biarohanga is happy to come and speak about it. But according to Katesh, Mr. Tugume refused and said, you MPs, you know nothing.
Well, maybe they knew nothing about how we got the money. That one I can concede. But not about growing coffee or even processing it. But because there's the country's interest. By the way, there are only two, Oscar.
Yeah.
One, how does the farmer get more money for his coffee? And then two, how do we as a country increase production or increase income, and through coffee by value, coffee being processed and we have added value. Those are the only issues. Let me tell you, there is no aeronautical science in this.
Okay.
It is a basic economics.
We are going to stop for a break, and after the break we'll have Lydia also. I did invite Robert Berahanga here, told him come and sit in the hot seat. He's receiving a bit of the heat, and we continue.
Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back from the break. This is the Capital Gang. Bit of discussions, and now Lydia is on the microphone. And there are many things to look at if you do not wish to repeat what has been discussed here. Lydia, I should tell you, I've been to places with Katuntu and we found coffee, especially Kenyan coffee, on the shelves in those countries. But the idea that Berahanga can sell coffee in Serbia will have a problem. He needs to open a processing plant in Serbia, and that's the only way otherwise, if he processes it here and packages and sells it to Serbia, then he will undergo the taxes of Serbia. I don't know if he has thought about that angle. You, Lydia, from Bugisu Coffee, are aware of such issues, challenges.
Thank you, Oscar. Of course, for avoidance of any doubt, I come from 100% Arabica coffee growing community. Sorry about this. It's like somebody is calling to give information.
On coffee.
Yes. I do kabiriti. So in Swahili they call it mulika mwizi, that the one which touches the thief in the night. But I come from 100% a coffee growing community. Bugisu, we grow Arabica coffee. We've tried as a community for a long time, many years ago, even before independence, to run a cooperative that has lived through the times and is still surviving. Now, having said that, I know for sure that coffee has a value chain. There's a story around coffee. It's not just about the story of Togume, Biaruhanga, Kabushenga. There are about 15 of them in that same line, but at least I know 3 who have been consistent in the media. The first thing that we have learned, those of us that have information about coffee, the chain, is that the current beneficiaries in the long time have been those that deal in seedling nurseries. If you sell coffee seedlings, you are likely to break through or make money. But there is much more beyond seedlings. There is the weeding, there is the manure, fertilizers, there is the management of the wilt, and then there is the picking green beans or the red beans, and then the story of post-harvest, and then marketing, where I think the Biaruhanga's come in marketing, because he hasn't told us how many square miles of coffee he grows, or Tugume, or even the others. But they are in the sector, which is also a good thing. So having said that, I said don't squeeze me, Oscar, because on the 25th of January, the president addressed the country. And he was very angry about the people he called those who are frustrating the coffee sector. And I listened in very carefully, and I'm like, who is it that is frustrating? I don't know that the rest of you listened to him, but I did. And he was really angry about the people he was saying.
We got the transcripts.
That they are frustrating the coffee sector. I've just been home for the festive season, and there are so many coffee farmers who came home. We have 2 sets of coffee farmers in Biaranga. You may not know even about Bugisu, but I can tell you, because I come from there, I have emotional attachment to whatever is happening. There are 2 sets of farmers in Bugisu and Mbale, where I come from. There are those who grow coffee and meet the standards of Bugisu Cooperative Union. Bugisu Cooperative has very high standards to take in coffee, and then they also take it at the highest price and they sell at the highest quality. But then there are those who do not manage the standards, but they are also still in the industry, like the second grade or whatever grade. Now, these ones can sell to anybody, the second grade, but those who sell to BCU, which even has an international license, they take time to get their money. So they keep around their deposit slips, like how you keep a national ID, Because when the market is now ready, they are paying you go and get your good money. But it has been, I think we have over 2 million bags, I don't know, in the stores, because there are warehouses with the union, and they have not been able to sell. So when the president was talking about people who are frustrating the sector, I'm like, does that link to our union? It has been bothering, because I wanted to know where our people stand with their good coffee, waiting for a good market and a good price. And then there's this talk, and then your social media campaign about you big people that are lucky to access 10 million grant. So all this, we are speaking so that there is a meeting of mind. Where does this coffee farmer from Bugisu, who has his good coffee packed up in a neatly in a union, and then the one that is of your caliber who can access a grant, then there is this one, the Ministry of Agriculture, then the CDA, the Uganda Development Authority. Where is the meeting of mind? That is the question, and I would wish you could link up with this one who is selling the seedlings and this one who is planting the coffee trees. The issue of the management of the coffee tree to the productiveness. How much does a coffee tree deliver under a good environment? How many kgs of coffee would my farmer be able to deliver per tree in every season? So that there is a chain and a story we can tell that you, Biaruhanga, can be happy going to the bank or changing a signature, but also my farmer, my uncle in the village, my auntie, my brother is also happy with the seedlings, with the pruning, with the weeding, with the picking of the coffee, and with the post harvest, and then the bagging and taking it to the store or to where I don't know whether you have warehouses or for you are just paperwork people who are able to get away with what you're doing. So in summary, Oscar,
yes.
I would like to request it whether, because this is a sector that is both under the mandate of government, it's a government sector, but also largely liberalized, it's a private sector. But also to be mindful of the traditional regions that are known to grow this crop. The Baganda call it Emwanyitelimba. And all the communities in central Uganda have been known, whether it's Masaka or Singo or Bulemezi, for growing coffee. They have not had their voice on this. Why are they? And you suspect, why are they quiet? Don't they have an interest in having this very expensive equipment you are talking about? How are you sharing this knowledge and technology with them? Because you cannot wish away Buganda with their Emwanyitelimba. Maybe you can wish away Bugisu, I don't know. But at Buganda, where we are here. I wanted us to understand this, because we really have corridors. We know what is grown where, we know what is being rearing where, in terms of our country, the way the country is zoned. So my request as I conclude, Oscar, is whether you're in the private sector, you're Ugandan, you're adding value, you have a contribution you are making. Whether you're in a union, a society, you have a contribution you are making. Whether it's government, we would like to hear Ministry of Agriculture speak out on this sector
Not
properly.
Science.
And for me, if Honorable Tumweba they came here, Honorable Chagulaga, not so much, I don't understand how Musenero comes in, but it's okay if it's innovation. But I would like to see Honorable Chagulaga, Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, or even General
Ramirama.
No, General Kasura or Ramirama, because this is the PS. The PS has an understanding of the sector, so that we do not really stress the private people who are not only ambitious, they have been able to, they are clever actually, and they know how to grab their space, because these are business people. They know how to position themselves, they know how to grab what they can get. But what about government? How are we linking into government so that the local person can loop into the chain and we benefit? Say about our country, and we are speaking this because we had is taxpayers' money. If it was not taxpayers' money, I would be quiet. Then secondly, the president mentioned this issue on the 25th, but in a mood that was saying people should not frustrate the sector. So who is frustrating the sector?
So Lydia, I have Liz here, says those Ntungamo Consortium people should adopt Emwanyitelimba for their branding. And she says no Of course, they are telling lies. Emwanyi doesn't need their lies. So that's another one for you, Robert, to respond
Emwanyi
to.
terimba, and for us, we use it as Arabica coffee. It's almost like culture. It's like circumcision. If in Imbale talk about coffee, it's in the same line with this Imbalu. So, and this
So
is
as
the
the
circumcision
microphone
here.
comes to you, you wanted to ask a question? No, about the location of the Namanve plant?
It was something asked here on social media about the fact that the Namanve plant was under UCDA.
Okay.
I don't know. It says isn't the Namanve plant under UCDA stroke no cafe by Gerard Sendaula. It says
It has been in existence for quite a while.
For a while.
Then
even you calling, I think, Mr. Vyarwanga to. You see, Uganda as a country is very interesting. One, at some point in time, the coffee sector had the biggest infrastructure in this country. The sort of investment this country made, like in the Bugolobi infrastructure,
In Mombasa.
you get it in Mombasa.
Where
Where
else
did
in
we?
Mombasa?
And then what happened? These are the real questions. Did we learn anything?
when, like Sarah here says, when we bring in the governance structure, for now we are following the money. So I have...
So you don't mind what happened?
No,
you
we
are going
do.
to make the same mistake.
Sarah Bieta has told you, you are asking the wrong person.
Some of you study history for purposes of...
She
No,
told
he's
you are
not that
studying.
wrong. He's
You're
part of
really
the
wrong
story.
person.
Lessons
We
from
want to
only-
mix the
Let's
private and the
get-
public.
Oponopono has come in. He had to see a doctor, so apologies were accepted. The shirt he's wearing, clearly he did not buy.
No, I told him so. I told him so.
So it's very smart.
Oscar,
And
this time didn't come from one of my daughters, but truly my brother next to me, almost 10 years ago.
yeah. So
When I was much younger, so
you're
today
trimming again. So
I'm
good.
trimming again, yeah.
So I don't know what you
For
can
which you are
comment
going to
for.
be entitled for one today too.
Yeah, last we'll have final comment from you, then we hand back to Robert Biarango.
On coffee?
On coffee. If you have any, if you came listening in, or if you know about the developing story on
I have
coffee.
just plunged into growing coffee.
Yeah.
I planted 8 months ago. I have a big dream. I did 14 acres at a go.
Oh, congratulations.
I'm beginning to do the bending. So I'm picking the conversation of Robert Kabushenga and the coffee people. We are going to have a good fight. But so far, I'm a little...
But so far you're readying yourself.
It's going to be a good fight. So
Okay.
I'm still watching the space.
Yeah.
But I would like to comment on what Abdu said. We did privatization, I think 1993, and many of the things we are referring to were either sold out to private people or leased and so on. I think we are beginning to walk back to say maybe we made mistakes as a government, as a country. And you can see the president is insisting in government making intervention in certain sectors. I want to believe with the new drive, this could be one of those areas that we need to pitch, that the government needs to come back into. But the botched liberalization, privatization, is just not in Uganda. Read recently, I think this week, there was an article about the privatization of the Royal Mail in the UK and other things.
Disastrous consequences.
So I think the world needs to rethink. If a government can run a whole country, how can a government not run just a business, a small entity? So I think those are areas that we need to reconsider as we go forward.
Right. So John Mugonya, who is on Twitter to you, Robert, says moving from 0.8 to 3 kilograms per coffee tree requires heavy applications, and he does not see how you are doing that. And then he says, how will smallholder farmers afford the coffee if you're not talking about UCDA, NADS, MAIF? They are not in the conversation. And maybe you shouldn't be talking a lot about the Ntungamo facility, because it is not a question of not having it. Maybe it is inexpensive and doesn't make a lot of business sense. So, over to you. Responses to around the table.
Thank you, Oscar. I will start by thanking the Honorable Katuntu for, because he said, why are we having this debate? And he said it's because of public money. So, and I completely agree with that. Sorry. Thank you. The transparency required when you get public money, I totally agree. And we have been very transparent under the supervision of the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. And that
I don't know, Robert, if you have, because when we asked you about why did you change signatories, you keep going around it. You don't have like a very straight answer.
I think I explained that it is usual governance issues that you find in young organizations.
Okay, but this one,
really
can you tell us the real one? Other than real governance, do you tell us what is this real governance issue?
That change the signature for the other
from a consortium.
If it wasn't there, maybe we would not be having this problem, all this conversation. So just say, look here, we are having this problem because of A, B, C, D. Even if it's one issue.
And
you could say it was not about personal gain, but we changed signatory because of this.
Now you are giving him the answer.
We want to be helpful.
What I want to do is first of all, we said the money came under a grant agreement with STI. Each entity was allocated an amount which it received, right? The change of signatories came about because internally we said, okay, we have now received the grant, right? We are now going to move forward. When we sell coffee, money comes back, right? Who controls the accounts, right? And people disagree. And someone tries to change the signing mandate or the signatories, add somebody else. But these are internal matters, really.
No, as long as it is a public money.
Yes.
You see, it's easier to be. You see, once you receive public money, you open yourself up. If you want this strictly to be private, just use your own money. Nobody will ask you.
Correct.
But as long as one penny has, that's the risk.
But Abdul,
correct.
To tell Robert Virahanga that I run a large organization, schools, and if the board had that I changed signatories, so it's not just public money. I would not just go around and change signatories.
Because signatory is about control.
Yes.
It's about control.
Authority and trust.
Yes.
Go on, Robert.
Thank you. I don't know if we should spend a lot of time on this, but
that's the gist. Money, $10 million.
Correct. I explained that the 10 million was allocated under a grant agreement. Each entity received their money.
Let me put a second microphone on you as you explain.
Yes. The rest of the conversation around changing signatories, these are internal dynamics in a young organization, and we are dealing with them as we move forward. Yeah. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the Honorable Berete also for the guidance she gave on. The issue being that the CICU, the consortium, the Coffee Consortium, is a group of private people doing their best to do this, and the Honorable Wanyoto also for her contribution. But the main thing I want us to focus on here is, why did we succeed? How come we succeeded? How come? It's because of the ideas that we put together and presented, not only to His Excellency, but to the different government departments, agencies. So here you have, there's a very important graph which I shared with you, Oscar, yeah?
I shared it with you.
Yes. How do you create value in the coffee value chain? What is the problem?
What is the role of UCDA in all this? What has been there?
I would not again go into the role of UCDA, because I came with this, and luckily the Honorable Sarah Benete talked about it. This is the roadmap. It was developed in 2013. We are now in 2024. In 2014...
just to answer my question, what is the role? You just say UCDA has played this role, or it has not played any role?
UCDA has played its role, but why I alluded to the roadmap is because this talked about 20 million bags by 2020. This was in 2014. Today we are in 2024. So UCDA has played its role. We moved, at that time, we were at 2 to 3 million bags. Now we are at 6.
That's the
so that
UCDA
is a good
program. We want to relate UCDA to your enterprise.
Yes,
and where our public resources have gone. That's the question I'm asking.
Correctly. So UCDA has moved us from 3 to 6. we are saying, can we catalyze this? Can we add more to what UCD has done? We are not satisfied with what UCD has done, Honorable. So we are saying, let's add on. And what we have come up with is here. We are saying, let us monetize the things that go into coffee growing, right? Everything, not just the labor and the fertilizer.
And the seedlings.
And yes, we monetize it, so we have inputs, zero value addition, zero bargaining power, weak extension services, pressure from food insecurity, high land fragmentation, limited acreage, picking and ripe cherries, right? Lack of drying facilities. We monetize everything, and we realized that only the person selling coffee seedlings makes money, manages to break even. If you monetize everything. When you don't, you think you're making money, but actually the country is losing. So, and this is it's a very good analysis. When you sell red cherry coffee, when you pick red cherry and you sell it, you lose 15,000 shillings.
I can tell you that is the biggest problem throughout agriculture.
Let me come to this. Right?
Primary producers really do it for you guys.
Yes, so I'm coming to that, Honorable Katuntu. So when you sell red cherry, you lose 15. When you sell kiboko, after you've dried it, you lose 17. When you sell FAQ, kase, you lose 16. When you sell the export grade, which we do, you lose 14. Only after you have roasted do you make about 5,000 shillings. Only after you've roasted, right? So the graph goes below the cost like that, you see it, and crosses only after roasting. And that is the imperative of value addition. So when people say you don't understand value addition, have they done this analysis?
Yeah.
Have they looked at it?
Okay, but there's a different but a different question
what is
to
our
ask on
solution?
it.
Our solution is put together.
Your solution. Hold on. Let me frame it in one question.
Correct,
Your solution.
Yes.
That in specific terms, what are you doing across the entire value chain? So your solution, put it. This is what we are doing for us as the consortium.
And we are not just debating; we are actually doing it.
You say people are listening.
Saying, let us have a consortium with dynamic shares, right? Where someone brings their cherry, right? They get paid something. They get paid whatever price they get paid, but still have a stake in the shareholding of what you get finally when you roast the coffee.
So are they bringing? Or these are thoughts?
They are not thoughts. The consortium is formed. It has received funding only 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
On this one, I want to be his advocate. You see, for you to realize that dream, you might need some time, really.
Yes.
I don't think it will be.
If you, like you, Katuntu, you are going to realize because you have planted 3 acres of coffee and often have planted 14 acres. But if you have got 10 million cash, you are good to go.
First, you put the infrastructure in place. Honorable Wanyuta here talked about the coffee that they have in stock at BCU. It's painful. I'm a trader, I know. When you're holding 10 tons or 20 tons or 100 tons of this stuff. Right now, FAQ coffee, Robusta, yes, Robusta is 11,000 shillings. 1 kilo of kase to the farmer. So you can imagine, if they're holding 100 tons, it's so much money that they are not really, there's no liquidity at that price. So what we are doing here is to say, let us roast the coffee, get good value out of it, and everybody benefits, everybody behind the roasting benefits. That's what we are saying. Put together a company that has dynamic shares where everybody owns something and shares in what you're doing. It's as simple as that. Limited, not by guarantee, but by shares.
You know, some people, Robert, who are following on social media on Twitter. So I have Yona Kiki says, I really appreciate Robert for coming to this show. It is very hot. I now know the whole issue is the signatories. Spend some more 10 minutes on that one. Then and then this one says, Mundu says, it is public funds, and that's where the problem is. But there's one who seems very authoritative. He says, where are you? The Namamve plan belongs to the National Union of Coffee Agribusiness and Farm Enterprises, NOCAF. led by Honorable General Sendaula. Last week, Minister Kasaija visited it. Whatever CICC is trying to do, NUCAF is already doing, but constrained by budgets. That's what I was putting to Abdu. Others are constrained by budgets, but CICC has the money, has the budget. So we are right to ask them, what are you doing?
No, I will quickly respond to that.
Yes.
The number of the plant is not the same as the one that gentleman or lady is talking about. This one is different. It's for this company called FOSA, which is part of the consortium, the guarantee to the tertiary hub. And this plant has capacity for 17,000 metric tons a year of green beans, as well as 250 kilos per batch roast and ground, and 250 kilos per batch spray dry.
Did you say green beans?
17,000 green beans,
Yeah.
250 kgs roast and ground, 250 kgs spray dry. This is very important.
Very, because green beans is what you want to get away from. But now you are promoting green beans.
No,
That's the
you cannot roast what you don't have.
Okay.
That's the
Yes,
beginning.
you've got to have the green bean. So yeah, but the thing is, these are we are private people.
Yes, that's the
With
problem.
The efforts we
government
put
money.
in, yes. The money government gave us has had a catalyzing impact
Yeah.
on what we are doing. Because if you look at this plant here, to put it together, you need $6.5 million. This is one plant. The one in Ntungamo, you need about $23 million. Yes, these are very big things.
I'm not disputing. You are the one who
Very big
knows.
things.
We are able to get
And when government gives now, like in my case, $300,000, of course, I completely appreciate, and it has had a catalyzing impact, and it has enabled us to go to where we can get the technology in Vietnam. Beautiful place, and I happen to have a passion with my brother Robert Kabushenga. We like climbing mountains. So last time in November we were together, and I explained to him what I was doing, because from that mountain I went to Vietnam. The technology transfer needed to do this is highly classified, and it's really good, especially for spray dry. And to get it, it's not cheap. So when government says here's something, you appreciate, you run with it, and get more, and build this together. $6.5 million from 300,000. Who shouldn't be happy, really? I think as a country we should,
didn't get share. You tell
as
us
a country we
about
should
Shenga
really
vote.
appreciate the
But
efforts
also in the
of,
private farmers.
yes,
Did he
yes.
get
Who?
Kabushenga?
He wasn't. He wasn't
He
part
did
of
not
it.
apply.
Oh,
He did not want to do it.
He's not in the constitution.
No, he's not.
Your ending. We'll give you non-interrupted time.
Yes.
We'll maybe invite you in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
What are the KPIs we should look out for as we invite you?
Yeah, for the private people, they are doing
You are the one who said they got money.
A functioning tertiary hub.
A functioning
Tertiary
hub. Okay. Okay, I'm recording these things.
Yeah. So a functioning tertiary hub with roast and ground, instant coffee, extraction, cold brew, all done. This is in 6 months' time, yeah.
6 months.
We are saying in 6 months' time. Yeah. The secondary hubs, we have 6 of these with capacity to process ready to roast green bean, right? And 1,000 tons per year. These will be functional. The primary hubs, these are the first level processing hubs to FAQ CASE. So we have about 30 primary hubs with capacity for 50 to 200 tons a year, and a subscriber base of 50 enterprise groups each, right? So we vision about 1,000 of these. The enterprise groups, we have, these are the first level farm aggregation, production and quality control units, and membership is of at least 50 farmers each. And who is a farmer? To us as a consortium, a farmer is somebody with 80 trees, 80 to 100 trees. Okay, so if you have less than that,
Then you
Yeah.
need to plant some more.
yeah, you need to plant some more. We encourage you to plant some more. So those are the
Okay.
KPIs that we can
So,
speak
Thank
about
you.
in 6 months' time.
Moses Biarhanga, the other Biarhanga, says, Abdu, you may have forgotten on a debate on Pineti, Parliament recommended that government should support private Ugandan coffee dealers. That you are the people that recommended it. And asking about UCDA, it has been promoting the growing of coffee and maintaining the certification process of coffee exports. The consortium was supposed to engage in marketing and value addition. UCDA doesn't market or export coffee in any form. So we're going to
market.
Oh, that's this.
Oh my God.
So we thank you very much for coming into the hot seat, Robert Byaranga.
Say something
finally,
quickly
in a sentence. Go to the microphone, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. In Vietnam, they produce 30 million bags, right? As we speak right now, in Vietnam and Indonesia, 5 million bags are absent in the market. This is why you see the price for Robusta going up so much, and the certified stock levels at the exchange very low. Why? Because over the last couple of years, they have put together these value-add machines, the roasting plants, for freeze-dry and spray-dry. It's like a vacuum thing. They are taking all the coffee inside in the countries. And because of that, not much coffee is going to the international market. As a result, prices are going up. Right. We are benefiting from the efforts of those people.
There's also
in value addition.
There's also the weather factor in Brazil. I mean, don't forget,
weather in Brazil,
when the weather sorts out in Brazil, again, you'll have prices coming
Weather
down.
in Brazil affects mostly the Arabica beans. The Robusta beans, it's really driven by what is happening in Vietnam.
The coffee boom in the late 60s?
Yeah.
That was weather.
So,
But Oscar, I want Byaranga to go with a question.
Yes.
You said that you are not happy that UCDA is producing below the capacity of the required birds. Did you find out from them why? Because you saw Dr. Beta was telling you that even for the last financial
I'll
year,
give you just 1
there
minute
were a
to
lot of
respond to that
efforts
one.
for them to even get their sector funded.
One
so
minute to answer that
we
one.
better find out why
Lydia, let him answer.
UCDA did
Go
not
for a break.
get the expectations of you, the private
Okay.
sector,
Go on.
and then for you have got a grant.
Go on.
I thank you, Honorable Wanyoto. I think
I'm not a spokesperson of UCDA.
Go on.
Neither am I, so I wouldn't also speak as to why UCDA has not. No, UCDA has done a tremendous job to double the exports in only, I think, from 2014 to 2017. We had already hit 6 million bags. That's a huge amount of work. What we are saying is we can add to that. We can add to that through all these interventions that we just did.
Thank you so much. Let's stop for a quick break.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back from the break. This is the Capital Gang, and we're back on air from the break. Mr. Robert Byaranga did not even have a cup of coffee when he was in the studio. Now I guess he's going to have coffee, but has already started the Star Cafe journey. Pardon? I beg your pardon?
I've already had the 3 fingers of sweet banana and dizzy.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is just the beginning. Let me start with you, Sarah. No. Let him give a man a break. Let's start with.
Because he's chewing bananas and he's talking.
So, Dr. Sarah Birete, the university's 74th graduation ceremony was held. Many ceremonies in a week. We have nearly 1,500 graduations with 47 PhDs, 131 PhDs, about 1,600 master's degrees, and 11,000 undergraduate courses. So Uganda is becoming heavily educated. This is just one of the universities. What does this mean for the future of Uganda? Where are these people going to?
Yeah, of course, there's a challenge of unemployment, but before that, Vision 2040 clarifies human capital development as one of the priority areas, but also Sustainable Development Goals number 4 mandates countries to carry out free, equitable, and quality education for all. So when you have this number of graduates, I think the estimate is about 700,000 per year from all universities, and Makerere alone is producing 14,000. But we need to trace the chain. before we go to universities, what is the process of education? Just last week, the Ministry of Education indicated that they cannot trace 1 million PLE dropouts. So if at primary level you have 50% loss of the people that enroll, and you can only carry the 50%, where does the 50% go at PLE? Senior 4, we lose 30%. They don't, some of them are not even traced in the vocational institutions. And then, of course, from A level to universities, also we have about 17% of untraceable people. So the first question is, where do these people go? Do we have an accumulation of a lost generation in this country? Then when it comes to universities...
I thought that is normal dropouts.
Yeah, but where do they go? You see, a country is supposed to trace its citizens. Because once a child enrolls at P1, their biodata should be captured in the system. So where do these people go if we cannot skill this population? So the point I'm making is that we are skilling less than half of the youth in this country. We are one of the countries with the youngest, population in the world, and 78% are young people, 44% aged below 14 years. So if we cannot skill this population, what does the future hold for us as a country? And partly on the gender card, I was happy about the consistent increase of female graduates. From 2020 to date, we have at least 1% increase of female, the girl child graduating, specifically from Makerere, and that is good. It shows they are now 53% and the boys were 47%, so that shows that we are beginning to see the real results of affirmative action, holistic affirmative action in our processes.
Is that due to government policy, you think?
I beg your pardon?
It's a constitutional mandate.
The favorable increase of the girl child in school. I'm asking my sister Sarah, the girl woman, if that is due to NRM government policy.
Right.
Not answer you precisely. Affirmative action is anchored in the Beijing Platform of Action. I know that it was incorporated in the 1995 Constitution, but the basis is not per se a Ugandan innovation. It is a global action.
And it has continued with SDGs. It has continued with SDGs.
I hope it's also performing well in Congo, in DRC Congo and Somalia, who are part of the global countries.
Okay, but yes, we incorporated the affirmative action in our constitution, but we are now behind because the world has moved on to gender parity and we are still struggling with a third percent. So yes, we started well, but we are losing track in terms of progress to gender parity. And maybe, that's the feedback I can give you. So in promoting an effective and inclusive education system, we need to look at the quality, because why are we having unemployed youth, yet the government registers economic progress every year? Now it's projected at 8% in the next budget. Why are we having a jobless economy? Is it that the education system does not fit the demands of the economy, or are we having falsified figures of economic growth? So if you look at the quality of education, some scholars have said we need to redesign the courses at tertiary institutions. I know we have had several commissions that recommend reforms for higher education in the country, but I know we have had several commissions that recommend reforms for higher education in the country, but I know we have had several commissions that recommend reforms for higher education in the country, but I know we have had several commissions that recommend reforms for higher education in the country, but we have a floating 462,000 graduates. So this gap is really worrying, and that's why we are now becoming a center for exporting our graduates to the Middle East. They are either absorbed in the border economy, or they go to the Middle East looking for jobs. So when shall we have an economy that can absorb our skilled labor force of the young people? For me, that is my worry today, and I hope the actors can look at changes of revamping our higher education to make sure that it's applicable and absorbable to our job market.
Abdu, you were beneficiary, so to speak. You have a daughter who graduated.
I also have a daughter who graduated.
Oh, you also have a congratulations,
Congratulations
to the both of you.
I also need.
I hope not in Nyakitara.
Save your comments or make a note, because you're trying to say something.
Yeah, my little princess graduated with a bachelor's degree in actuarial sciences. It's one of those new courses at university. But let me say this. First of all, I was so much impressed by the organization levels at the university. When I attended that graduation ceremony, they were more organized than we were our time. You need to congratulate the administration of Makerere University. I also need to use the same opportunity to congratulate my classmates, law classmates, Mr. Ocean O'Brien, Mr. Robert Nyombi, and then Miss Okelowange Jane had also their kids graduating. So we had some bonanza of my class. Having said that, it's not about getting degrees really, as Sarah puts it. I have studied the trend of the Asian tigers. How did they manage, among other reasons, to have this jump start of their economies? At every level, for example, after primary, we should be able to have that as a catchment area for people who may not proceed to secondary school. At all level we need it. So what do we have to do? We must develop technical colleges, what you call artisan courses, both after primary and after O level and even after A level. It's no use you start the OO says it, of course, tongue and cheek, that Runya, degree in what? Runya Chitara. You have like, Sarah, you can't, a million graduates with Runya Chitara, what are they going to do anyway? Other than going to, Sarah, you can't, a million graduates with Runya Chitara, what are they going to do anyway? Other than going to, Sarah, you can't, a million graduates with Runya Chitara, what are they going to do anyway? Other than going to, Sarah, you can't, a million graduates with Runya Chitara, what are they going to do anyway? Other than going to building and so on, tailoring. Then you go at all level, you do the same. That's how you develop an economy. And for every graduate, for example, you say, I have one civil engineer graduating. How many plumbers do you need to produce to serve this civil engineer? How many of these guys who do wiring of electricity, what are they called? Electricians, technical technicians and so on. How many do you need? And those ones, you cannot train them at a lower level. Because having degrees in itself cannot develop an economy. It cannot. Yeah. So I think Mama Janet should be thinking about really rearranging this education system. As it is now, you can have 1 million and graduates, we all celebrate, our kids have got degrees, but what are they going to do after those good degrees they have gotten?
Ivan, you have Hassan Kasinje on X, formerly Twitter, saying as he grew up, we celebrated Mafuta Mingi, the local tycoons who are filthy rich out of smuggling. Today we celebrate educated people, even when they haven't gotten formal employment. Therefore, we need an education that provides self-employment opportunities.
Yeah.
I think me and Hassan, we are saying the same thing in different words.
Of human capital development to the overall socio-economic transformation of the country, because human capital development has very grave implications on right now, Oscar. One of the biggest challenges, the president has been talking about how Uganda has been one of those countries that have sustained economic growth of over 5% for over 3 decades, since 1980.
And
yet you failed to structurally transform. One of the biggest barriers is the dependence, first of all, the dynamics of our population. You have a very significantly young population. More than half of the population, about 53%, are aged 15 years and below. So you have one of the highest dependency rates in the world. For every working adult, you have over 42 dependents in this country. Just think about it. For every working person, you have 42 dependents. And so people talk about black tax. That is how you factor in.
If you are not an MP.
This is what it means. So it means that for every person working, they are unable to save money or to invest money productively in terms of scaling or entrepreneurship or producing or innovation, because they have other 42 people they are taking care of basic survival needs. So what does that mean? That means that we really as a country have to focus on developing skill sets in our graduates that can empower them to become productive members immediately from school. So by that you will have solved the unemployment problem, I have solved the dependency problem, and also now reinvigorated the economy. One of the ways of doing that is shifting the focus of our education, and I'm glad this reform is progressive happening in the curriculum review and all, to shift the focus from teaching to test, memorization and reproduction of what you learn in class, to really focus on the soft skills, things like innovation and problem solving, things like critical thinking, skills like collaboration, negotiation. Those are some of the skills out here once you leave the shield of the university that you will need on the very day you step out of those gates of Makerere to survive in this world. You may even have a first-class degree, but if you don't have these social skills, excellent communication skills, innovation, having been taught how to think outside the box, to innovate, to identify solutions to problems, you will struggle to cope. You will struggle to create jobs or find something to do to be productive, and you will sit back and hope that and think that having that degree entitles you to a job which does not exist. So, but these are things that kids cannot be self-taught, cannot teach themselves. These are skill sets that the education system must progressively be reoriented to develop, to harness, and to promote in the economy. Because Oscar, look at
the new curriculum, secondary school curriculum, is trying to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said I'm glad that we are going towards that, because you see, look at the many employment things now the spaces young people are finding jobs. These new media technologies are giving very many options for many, for young people. The gig economy now across the world is a very lucrative industry. And what are the skills needed in the gig economy? It is those skills: communication, innovation, critical thinking, being able to sit in your room and imagine a service you can rent out there, then get out there, market it, and then earn from it. So the country, the people at the National Planning Authority, at Vision 2040 and the implementers of those programs must sit and realize that actually investing in these skill sets of our children can be a very important panacea in addressing the dependency problem, addressing the unemployment problem in this country, so that the money or the growth in the economy can trickle down, and you have more people investing, you have more local industrialists and producers in the economy.
You've had graduates. You have children who graduated.
Congratulate the graduates and their families for succeeding where others didn't even send their children to school. Others abdicated responsibility along the way. And so the rate of fallout Sarah was referring to is due to many factors. The parents, the children themselves. In this market, you saw a former guilty president who is graduating after 10 years. Now that one you can't even blame the parent. You can only blame him. For his focus and so on. But we congratulate the ones who have graduated successfully.
Even him we congratulate.
Even him. Now, there are many reasons why the rates of fallout are still high, which we need to deal with. I don't think we can exhaust in this discussion. But I don't think reforming tertiary education alone is sufficient, as Sarah seems to imply. We need to deal with from the primary education system. Abdu made part of the reference that when our time, of course Abdu is much younger than me, I don't know when he says our time, but
take out the word much. Younger.
In my days, this mid-70s, early 70s, in primary school, you would have this thing we used to call artwork, art and craft. Just learning to weave mats, baskets, making pots, making rudimentary timber furniture. So that if you fall out at P3, you are able to make a mat. Now, assuming you make that mat for 5 years, you hone your skills, and the mat will be of a better quality, and you can sell in the local market. The children you have today, if they fall out at P3, because that has been discarded, what can they do? How can they earn? They would find it difficult to earn. Your children and mine can no longer go back to the hall. Even just today, even just to be a village porter, they cannot. Because even handling a hoe, they don't know. Even if you ask him to pick a mango from a mango tree, they most likely don't know how to pick a mango. So even those basic skills they don't have. So we need to revamp the entire education system. We don't have the resources, so we have to go gradually, sector by sector, and so on. The second area is certainly mindset. The technical and vocational institutes Abud is referring to, they actually exist, and they have been even expanded in the last 30 years. But where is the mindset of we parents and guardians? Rarely will you find a parent who has gone to university who's accepting to take their children after P7 to do masonry studies in the institute, to do plumbing. We are all looking at a university. Now, with the spread of universities, some don't even bother which university, as long as it's a university. People will sell land. Now, instead of selling a plot of land at 10 million shillings and send a child to university, probably if this child had a set of skill at senior 4, this 10 million could be a setup capital to do something more relevant. And then if that child wants to continue with a professional course in a formal institution, they can then pay for themselves. But not many parents, not many guardians are willing to take their children to vocational and technical institutes. Go to any of these institutes, especially the ones of government, you will find that the enrollment is below 40%, below 30%. We have left those ones to people who will say are not our level. So we need, so we need to encourage. And I'm glad when this week actually, when BitVet results came out, they said that in the last 1 year, the last academic year, the enrollment has improved by about 22%. I think we need to encourage children and the guardians to focus, to have interest in vocational and technical studies. The other area is mindset of the graduates, people who are coming out of school, let alone university people. but also university people. How many of our university people, somebody has studied political science and public administration, how many of them will you say go to a window market and run a store, and they accept?
Now they are doing it. They have no
No, they are doing it as a last
They
resort.
have no option.
They are doing it as a last resort. So they are half-minded there. The moment they get an opportunity when
go to
Oscar
an
offers
office.
them some clerical work at Taiba High, they will do a quick run to Taiba because they are going to get a formal salary. So teaching people patience and resilience in the business world, I think we need to do a lot of work in order to deal with this issue. It is not that the jobs are not there, but are people willing to do those jobs? Look at the business world. The other day we were having a laugh here on this show. We said to Mwevazi, you went and put free Wi-Fi in Owino Market, in Nakasero Market, at Constitutional Square, starting at
midnight,
at 8 p.m. up to 6 a.m. Who's going to work at night? Now, we need to encourage people, especially young people, that we are developing a 24/7 economy. Therefore, people who cannot obtain jobs during the day can do those jobs at night.
Thank you.
And we can
Lydia,
deal partially with unemployment issue.
Close. We're out of this time, but there's enough time for Lydia to close out this topic. And I have a good of a week that I share it with the Fonopono.
I would like to join my colleagues to congratulate all the graduates that were a week long being recognized at Makerere University, but also to notice that there have been also other universities graduating many young people in Uganda. I think we have 54 chartered universities in Uganda now, including the one in my home area, IU. They also had a very big graduation recently. So knowledge is important, and those certificates are important. It's a big life achievement. What comes next is now the other life degree you get, because if you sit at home and look at your beautiful certificate every day and you look at your parent, you may not really meet your aspirations, but you have to go out and hustle. The good thing
for sure
these days is that there is this social media or internet. If you can access it, like OO is saying, you can search for opportunities, or you can be able to innovate something, and you get moving. By the time you finish university, you are able to maneuver around and get some data. You cannot fail really, because at university you've built networks, you've built the way your way out. You're not like that one who has not been in any associations, because these people form associations as they go to university. You can move along with friends, with networks. Many of us, when we finish university, even if you didn't have a relative in Kampala, you left university with a friend, networks, and you're able to loop on through their parents or relatives and start somewhere away from the village where there are no opportunities. But now there are opportunities in many places. We have more urbanized areas. I would like just to call upon the graduates to look beyond what their parents have given them and to look beyond what they have. Let them also utilize the friends, the lecturers, and you go and be a go-getter. You'll be able to start somewhere in the first 2-3 years, and then you pick it on from there. Yes.
Despite sidestepping the question about changing signatures, I admire that coffee guy's composure when articulating things under the hot seat, especially when he was seated right next to Sarah Birete.